The Rockies are one of the most interesting franchises in all of Major League Baseball. What are they doing this offseason? So that is the question that I am posing to you today as MLB Trade Rumors reports of last night, really late in the evening, that's why we're covering it this morning, but they have reported that the Rockies are not anticipating any more significant roster moves for the remainder of the offseason. And we don't talk about the Rockies a lot, mainly because they don't have a good team. They've never had a real good history of developing players or competing. But I think they're at a really interesting turning point in their franchise. And we're going to talk about that today. So like I said, I posed a question to you. If you are a Rockies fan, hello. But if you are just a baseball fan, I think the Rockies have always been in discussion as one of the lowest level teams in baseball, at least in recent years, outside of maybe the 2019 year or 2018 year when they made the playoffs. They really haven't competed. So I just want to know what you guys think about the topic of this video and, of course, your opinion on the Rockies in general. So let's get right into the video. The article, again, was from Anthony Franco of MLB Trade Rumors, and it says that the Rockies are not making any more moves this offseason. Well, I tease that they are at a really interesting turning point because, yes, they are no Yankees. They are not even the Twins. Like, they are not where other teams are. They've made some very interesting trade decisions in the last couple of years, bringing on Kris Bryant, getting rid of Nolan Arenado. They've developed very few guys, but they don't have a bad team. They also just compete in the NL West, which is impossible to win when you've got the Dodgers, the Padres, who have spent a ton of money. The Giants are still okay. There's really nowhere to go. Like, even the Diamondbacks made some significant improvements this year. They, I wouldn't say are contenders, but are better than this team, right? So let's talk about some of these players. First of all, you've got a guy like CJ Cron, who hits quite a few home runs, hit like 20, 30 last year, was kind of in the zone for a while. Ryan McMahon, he had a 3 WAR last year. Like, he was pretty significant, had 20 home runs, 67 RBI, had a just under average OPS plus, 250 average. That's pretty good. You've got Brendan Rodgers, who we've talked about on this channel before, and we'll mention here at the end, but he kind of surprised everybody. He was a 4 WAR player or so, and he kind of came out of the woodworks here and I think, again, like, surprised a lot of people. That's a pretty solid core. Of course, you've got the players like Kris Bryant, who, when they are healthy, are really good. Charlie Blackmon has had a couple of bad years, but he's been an all-star before. Randall Grichuk used to be pretty good. Like, that's a pretty solid core of guys. Yeah, they're not maybe as young as you would expect or compared to other teams, but they've got some base level talent, right? And if you look at the rest of the roster as well, I had it pulled up. Where did it go? Okay, here we go. If you look at the rest of the roster, they went out and pulled some guys in. Again, maybe not huge names, but Brent Suter, Nick Mears, Connor Siebold, right? They've made some moves, just not the big move. They're not going after Carlos Correa. They don't have any chance to get Verlander, especially in the situation that the Rockies are in. They're never going to be able to pull these big pitchers. So that kind of lends to, what are they doing, right? What is the move forward? And I think that is a really interesting question. It obviously depends on how the players are playing in this season. Like, if Kris Bryant has an MVP season again, that is going to help the team. If McMahon and Rodgers can duplicate what they did last year, that is a solid group that, again, they are not going to be able to compete in the NL West, but can they make a wild card spot? Maybe. They need a lot of luck to go their way. But the reason I'm making this video to say that they are not going after any more moves this season, I think is really kind of like a stab in the back if you are a Rockies fan. Like I said, they're not going to be able to pull a Correa or a Verlander or somebody of that level. But to go out and get, I would say, 3 minor league deal pitchers that maybe they come up in the majors, there's probably some incentive there. Like Brent Suter, who was okay with the Brewers. Like, to go out and get those guys and just say, yep, we're done. Like, I feel like that is just unjust if you are a Rockies fan. Like, are they just bending over, trying to die? Like, to just come out and say that, I think, is a significant hurt for the franchise. And the reason behind that is if you have a good group of guys, then to like, yes, they have to perform, but they need that talent around them, right? Like the Twins, I think, is a perfect example of kind of compare and contrast. I am a Twins fan, that's why I'm using this example, but like if they did not have Carlos Correa, they have had to develop guys like Miranda, like Royce Lewis a little bit before he got hurt, like Kirilloff over the last couple of years, even though he's been hurt, right? They've had to develop these guys, but then they went out and they got some pieces. The Marlins have done the same exact thing. Yeah, those pieces aren't the big names. They are, Gene Segura. They are Johnny Cueto. But those are pieces that actually can make an impact because they have had success in the past. Whereas Brent Suter, that's probably your biggest name on that list, right? I mean, maybe it says right here, the most significant move this offseason was the acquisition of young left-handed power hitter Nolan Jones. That is your biggest move, who, looking at his 2022 stats, played in a handful of games. It was 28 games, had less than 100 plate appearances. Obviously, he's got a lot of potential. He's 24, but like if that is your biggest move, why would anybody be a Rockies fan? Not my best friend, but one of my great friends from college, he is a Rockies fan. Now, every week we have the discussion like, hey, what are the Rockies going to do? He asked me, he's like, what are the Rockies going to do? Here's the solution. The Rockies need to develop players, right? You look at a guy, maybe Nolan Jones could be a perfect example. If he is developed, he was with Cleveland last year. If he develops, okay, now you've got a left-handed bat in a pretty power-heavy, or I should say at least a good atmosphere for a lefty hitter, a power hitter in Colorado. That's what they need to start targeting. You go ahead and look at like CJ Cron. That is a power bat. Yeah, he's right-handed, but he's a power bat who hits 30 home runs because he's playing to his advantage, right? That is what the Rockies need to do. Now, the question is, why did they get rid of Nolan Arenado and go get Chris Bryant? That's a whole, interesting conversation. The Rockies need to start hitting more, right? That is always the concern. The pitching is going to be bad, and yes, you have to address that, but they need to hit better. And honestly, I don't think this is a bad squad to do it. Like, they have, again, the foundation to do it. They just need support. And that support is not going to come from the outside because they don't have money to spend, because they don't spend money. It comes from within. Troy Tulowitzki, right, was great in Colorado because he was a good hitter. That is what the Rockies need. And to say they are not going to go get more power hitters or like Jerks and Profar, right? Why wouldn't you go make an attempt to get Jerks and Profar or somebody along those lines, right? There are not many free agents left, but like they didn't make an attempt for some of these lower level guys. That's my gripe with the Rockies. And what I said about this earlier, by not making any more moves, with the Marlins, they were attempting to go ahead and get Edward Cabrera. Obviously, that's pitching, and that's a little bit different of a conversation. Maybe if you can develop a really, really good pitcher, because he's a lot younger, and he grows up through the organization in the Rockies system where the altitude is higher, he can adjust to that pitching, and he's a good pitcher. Yes, that helps. But to say that they are not even targeting some of these guys anymore is interesting. Now, maybe it's a good thing for the Rockies. Obviously, the Marlins just acquired Luis Arraez yesterday, so maybe that trade with Brendan Rodgers is off the table because the Marlins don't need any more infielders. They have Luis Arraez, John Birdie, Jazz Chisholm, who says he's going to play center field, but still will probably play a lot of the infield as well, depending on where Arraez plays. Garrett Cooper will play first base. Now they have Segura and they have Wendell. There's a couple of other names in there as well, right? There's no need for Rodgers. And maybe that was just a miss on the Rockies' part by not going out and trying to acquire him, or at least not offering what the Marlins needed at the time. Maybe they were targeting Arraez way before. But now you've got this situation where they are saying, yep, we are not going to make any more moves. That means Brendan Rodgers is not on the table anymore, right? Maybe that's a good thing for the Rockies, that they can start to, they can understand that they need to out-hit teams, right? That is their strategy. That is the only strategy they can do. Because some teams, the away teams, when they come to Colorado, they also have to face the pitching deficit, right? Now, they don't have to do it 81 times a year, but you understand what I'm trying to say at that point is they need to out-hit teams. Now they're starting to develop this core group of guys. That is the right move, right? That is where they need to go. Maybe it's a smart thing that the Rockies are not trading a guy like Brendan Rodgers, Ryan McMahon. They're developing them, Nolan Jones. So that is the question, like I said to you. Is it disconcerting that the Rockies aren't trying to make any more moves? Maybe they're just not making the right moves, right? So that's what I beg the question for you to ask down in the comments. Or answer down in the comments. I would love to know your thoughts, again, if you're a Rockies fan or if you just are interested in this conversation about the Rockies. So we don't give the Rockies enough love on this channel. There you go. I hope you guys did enjoy it. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you did enjoy this content so that we can talk more about this or baseball in general. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.